This is my 6.2 presentation on the technical model. A technical model is a model which is used in sport in order to assess sporting performance and is used to show what the ideal and most successful efficient technique is for a certain skill. It is a very useful technique, and as the technical model explains a sporting skill with words rather than numbers, it is a qualitative way of assessing. This makes it easier to understand when giving feedback, and it gives ideal ways to perform the best of the athlete's ability. It is important that an athlete has a technique which fits them and helps them to perform in the best possible way. Coaches often have one technical model which they use to when they try to impose upon athletes, which doesn't always consider that different people work in different ways. With a variety of body shapes comes different styles of performance which will be suited to each person individually, and it's important that coaches can observe how athletes can adapt the style of the skill in order to perform to the athlete's style to perform to a better ability. In building the technical model, the coach should start with considering the physical and psychological capabilities of the athlete, such as flexibility and mental imagery. It's important to know their strengths and weaknesses, to know how they learn, their cognitive abilities, such as intelligence, spatial perception, and reaction time. And it's also important that they know their psychological maturity levels. Knowing the biological principles that determine what an athlete must do to run faster, jump higher, throw further, for example, are important, as it is key to determining a technical model that will allow the athlete to achieve the correct biomechanics within their capabilities for the skill. Performance analysis is a very useful tool and is used to monitor and feedback skills and can highlight the strengths and weaknesses of them. It allows athletes to understand what they're doing well and what could be holding them back from being able to perform even better. Comparisons can be made in team sports as to how each side performed and why one side may have performed better than the other. To piece together an efficient technical model for a performer, coaches can use different sources which provide accurate and informed material for the model. The coach can refer to different pieces of literature, perhaps made by famed coaches within the certain sport or Sport International Association. The technical model describes how performance is done rather than using statistics. This is a useful characteristic of the model as it allows the athletes to understand the details of their movement and how they can adapt different parts of their performance for a better outcome. In order to achieve the ideal technical model, information can be gained subjectively, which is based on personal opinions, interperceptions, points of view, emotions, and judgment from the coach or observer. This can be achieved by observing the tennis player, for example, and watching them do the same skill multiple times, such as a serve, taking in note of what they're visually doing and correctly and noticing what else they could do to improve their performance for this skill and create the perfect technical model in the way that they could do this in the best way. Objective information or analysis can be used to make a good technical model, as it is facts-based, measurable and observable, and therefore will give the athlete an exact idea of what to do better. There are three phases of performance which include the preparation for the skill, the execution of the skill, and then the recovery from the skill. Looking at tennis, for example, we can focus in on the skill and analyze each of the phases. For a serve in tennis, the preparation will involve the performer doing a back swing, then turning sideways with half of the body facing the net. Then the back leg will bend with the serving arm raising up and getting ready to hit the ball with the racket, and the body will be bent back. Then for the execution phase, the ball is thrown up with the other hand, and there is a weight transfer towards forward, and the racket swings forward and through to the opposite side of the body as it hits the ball. Then the final phase is the recovery. After the serve, the right arm, if you're right-handed, will go to the opposite side of the body as your body turns through to recover from the shot, and then you will return to the ready position and be faced forward, technically with your legs apart, knees bent towards the net. Although it is important to know what the technical model and technique is, different techniques work for different people, and so if these work for different athletes, they shouldn't be criticised. Basketball is a team sport, and it includes many different skills, which, if perfected, can make you a successful player. Basketball is a team sport. There are 2 teams of 5 players which each try to score by shooting a ball through the hoop elevated 10 feet above the ground on each opposite end. The court is divided into 2 main sections by the mid-court line. With every sporting skill, there are 3 phases to perform the perfect technique for it. Shooting in basketball takes great precision and concentration. Good shooting technique starts by getting your eyes on the target, which is the basketball net or hoop, and so you can see how far away you are. This is important to improve accuracy. Locating the target as early as possible is important as it gets the player prepared for shooting. Coaches will advise to keep your eyes on the target and to not follow the flight of the ball, and keeping your target focus is very important. In the preparation to shoot in basketball, it's important to start with the correct stance and balance before sending the ball. The feet should be shoulder width apart for stability and balance, and should be a staggered stance that is comfortable for you but provides good balance. It's advised in preparation that the shooting foot is slightly ahead of the non-shooting foot in a comfortable position. Before the actual shoot, the feet should be pointed in the general direction of the basket, and an open or closed stance can be used. However, an open stance is more advised because it enables better balance, but whichever technique has the better outcome is the one that you should use. Typically, a right-handed shooter will point their feet just to the left of the rim for a more natural position and shooting motion. It is also important to flex and bend your knees on every shot in the preparation, because this prepares for power to be pushed up through the legs and therefore elevate the ball more. For the execution and main phase of shooting, your non-shooting hand should be on the side of the ball, and this hand shouldn't move on delivery and should always come off the ball first. The ball should start motion directly upwards from the shot pocket, which is where the ball should be situated before being propelled. Your elbow should be positioned comfortably under the ball, and the ball stays in front of you, never behind your head. Uncoil your body with your legs, core and arm power all coordinated as the legs push up from their squatting position, but not fully squatted, just slightly bent. Your elbow and wrist should extend in a straight line to the basket. The shooting hand should point straight in the line to the rim, and the hand position on delivery is very important. The ball should come off the hand with perfect symmetrical backspin as the fingers push it up with the flick of the wrist at the end, releasing the ball all the way up just before the top of your jump. Use the legs to generate up force for the powerful shoot. A lot of power gets delivered from the legs as they bend and push upwards. For the start of the recovery phase, you should land in the same position, same spot as you jumped, which shows that you have good balance on your shot. After the shot, your wrist should be floppy and hold your follow through position until the ball hits the rim, keeping your eyes on the net. Then you can relax your position after the ball has entered the hoop. SlowPro software is an excellent way of data collection. This is an app which you can shoot videos at high speed, then play them back in very smooth slow motion. This is very useful in athlete analysis when trying to find a good technical model. The coach can film them doing a certain skill in the sport, which could be possibly letting down their performance, and the app allows them to immediately see how they performed under scrutiny. The slow motion will allow every detail of the action to be viewed, and if there is something that they're doing particularly wrong, it can be acknowledged and changed, and therefore it can lead to the perfect skill. Laboratory-based data can also be used for analysis, and this includes collecting data in a controlled environment. This is an effective way to collect data as you're able to measure the variable you intend to use. In a lab experiment, the athlete would know that they are being observed. The results from this data collection will be highly accurate. However, there is also a limitation to this, that the athlete could try and do the skill in a very possible way, which is unnatural in a lab experiment. As you can see on the left of the screen, there is a picture of a perfect technical model for the preparation phase of a basketball shoot. This is being compared to the performer on the right. The perfect technical model shows that for an ideal preparation phase, the legs should be reasonably bent, the feet should be a good distance apart, around 45 centimetres. This gives good balance, and the bend prepares for a powerful push-up from the legs, which helps to propel the ball upwards with more power. When we compare this ideal model to our performer, he doesn't bend his legs as low, and his face and his feet are quite close together, which reduces the amount of balance that he will have and the amount of power. Although this may be suited to the performer because he is tall and doesn't technically need an extra push, the power in his legs from a bend would be beneficial. To analyse whether this would be beneficial, the coach could try both techniques on the performer and see which one has a better outcome for his shoot. For the execution phase, we can see that the perfect model involves good extension of the legs to provide power and to execute a vertical jump. The feet should be leaving the ground and landing on the same spot as the ball, on the balls of the feet in a bouncing action for a 2 count. The elbow should be at 90 degrees, pointing at the basket, the shooting hand under the ball, arms extended upwards, and the ball is released just before the maximum height of jump. Lots of players forget that a flick of the wrist at the end of the shoot is much more efficient than just pushing the ball upwards towards the net. If these two techniques are linked together, then the perfect technical model is achieved. Our performer doesn't follow the jumping technique. As a coach, it would be useful to observe his technique and then practice a jumping one as well to see if it has the potential to be more efficient than just the raise onto the tiptoes, as you can see on the right. Our performer does raise onto the tiptoes to give a bit of height. However, this doesn't come with much power due to the lack of the leg bend before. Our performer does flick the wrist at the end, which is important as it gives it the ball power, that last second of power in a powerful flick.